Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy that's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of Street Fighter Flashbacks. In celebration of the 30-year anniversary of Street Fighter, I'm taking it upon myself to share my memories of playing the games in the arcades or on the console at that period of time, and as well review or share my feelings on other Street Fighter related media. You know, I haven't covered comic books in a while on my channel, so let's rectify that by having me talk about the Street Fighter Udon comic series. Now, before I go into detail, let me just state, 1, I will be using the westernized / American names of the characters when I describe certain things. So that's number 1. Number 2, I will not go into the story details about what happens when and here, basically primarily because the Street Fighter Flashback is running a little bit long, and I need to get some of these things out of the way right quick. Alright? So, the Street Fighter Udon comics, not to be confused with the Super Street Fighter Udon comics. I'm not talking about the Super ones, and I won't be covering the Super ones primarily because those are still going, and basically, yeah, it's a mixed bag for me at this point. But the Street Fighter Udon comics are in short amazing. All right. Now, what they do is they actually take the plot of Street Fighter 0 and Street Fighter 2 and they wove them into one, and they did so actually pretty convincingly well. And in case you haven't been following the Street Fighter Flashback and you don't know the Street Fighter 0 plot or as well as Street Fighter 2 plot, I'll basically give you a rundown. Ryu has just defeated Sagat and has won the first World Warrior tournament, or in the comics known as Street Fighter tournament. However, he did so by unknowingly tapping into the dark side of his martial arts known as Asasken, and this dark side is called the Satsuno Hadu. And the Satsuno Hadu was tapped into one other person. Well, he didn't only tap into it, but he mastered it, and that was Akuma. And Ryu, realizing this, goes back to his master, and his master informs him that he now has to face himself and as well face his body to train himself to not be consumed by the Satsuno Hadu. However, Akuma has killed their master, and Ryu wants revenge against Akuma. However, Akuma has been able to badly humiliate Ryu and Ken in combat, and Ryu is going on a worldwide journey to find other ways to learn how to defeat Akuma. On the flip side, we have M. Bison, the ruler of Shadowloo. His activities are being well documented and well known, and the U.S. military has actually basically sent in Charlie from the Air Force to uncover and basically, bring in Bison. But Charlie has disappeared, as well as Interpol agent, an Interpol agent, whom his daughter, Agent Chun-Li, is on the tail of Shadowloo, while Guile from the U.S. military is also on the tail of Shadowloo, and these two join forces to discover that Shadowloo has killed Chun-Li's father and has turned Charlie into a Shadowloo agent called Agent Shadow. However, in a fight with Agent Shadow, Charlie actually was able to overcome the programming and fight Bison, but sacrificed himself while doing so, and thus killing himself and Bison. Only to find that Bison, while his body is dead, his spirit and essence is still alive, which Bison originally planned to transfer his essence into the new body, aka one of the Shadowloo dolls named Killer Bee, aka Cammy. But before he was able to do so, Cammy was actually kidnapped, had her mind wiped, and sent to British intelligence, where she is an MI6 agent whom is fighting various Shadowloo terrorist actions. Bison restores himself after killing and defeating Rose, puts himself into that new body, and hosts the second World Warrior tournament in order to bring out Ryu to try to basically harness the Setsuno Hadu from Ryu into himself. And that's basically the gist of the comic series. Now, all the characters from Zero to Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo are in this comic book series. And as well as some additional characters that you see in the Street Fighter 3 series, right? For example, Yun and Yang, they play a huge part in the Street Fighter Zero well, not a huge part, but they do play a bit of an important part in the Udon comic series. Now, the comics are drawn beautifully. I can't believe how well these comics were really drawn. You know, this gave you the proper updated feel that Street Fighter needed in both animation and in comic book panel drawing. Another thing that was done very well is basically, while you're reading the comics, they are not too wordy or in detail, and so like you get the plot of what's going on. However, a lot of the subplots that happen within the comics are actually still very relevant to the overall arcing plot and everything. So a lot of times when you have subplots in comic books or even in TV series, they can actually take away your focus of what's the big picture of what's going on. In the Udon comic series, it doesn't. It gives you these small subplots that happen in the major story, but they're still relevant, and they'll actually make you appreciate the outcome more so. In addition, you know, you also have the fact that basically one thing about Capcom with the Street Fighter series, it's very convoluted. Here, they streamline everything extremely well. I so wish that the Udon comic series was actually part of the actual Street Fighter canon. But a lot of creative licenses going on, so yeah, it can't be incorporated in the main canon. Particularly, not only the Udon Street Fighter comic book line, but the Udon Street Fighter Legends line. Particularly, Street Fighter Legends Chun-Li and Street Fighter Legends Sakura. Both of those comic lines, while they are considered major subplots, they still actually are very well intertwined into the overall Udon Street Fighter comic story. You know, we get Ken doing more. You know, Ken always gets a shaft in every adaptation, mostly, but here, he actually plays a very important part as both Ryu's rival and best friend, and as well as plays a big role within the Shadowloo storyline, something that we've only seen in the Street Fighter 2 anime. Guile, actually, while I'm not the biggest fan of Guile after the Street Fighter 2 World Warrior, his involvement is really important and really relevant. And we get to see how some characters from the original Street Fighter game and even the Zero/Alpha series, why they did not show up in the Street Fighter 2 storyline or the Street Fighter 2 tournament or the World Warrior tournament, Second World War tournament, which was done very well, you know. So with the exception of Eagle, Joe, and Mike, all the characters from the original Street Fighter are actually incorporated in this comic book storyline, and done so to great effect. Guys, I highly recommend, if you're comic book fans or anything, or you want a quick read of something that's very entertaining with martial arts action and a great representation of the Street Fighter universe, but something a little different, I highly recommend picking up the whole Street Fighter Udon comic series. If you want me to rate this, all I gotta say is the Street Fighter Udon comics are amazeballs. Pick them up right now. Agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at TokenDave. Follow me on Twitter at TokenDave80. And subscribe. Ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by, and I'll catch you guys later.